Why not you? Think about that question for a moment, not with your ears, but with your soul. Sit with it. Let it echo through the halls of every doubt you've ever had. Let it push against the walls you've built around your dreams. Let it rise, like a whisper turned into a roar. Why not you? The world has a funny way of making you believe that greatness is reserved. Reserved for the special ones. The chosen ones. The gifted, the wealthy, the lucky, the ones born under the right star, in the right city, with the right last name. But here's the truth, the world doesn't choose you, you choose the world. Every incredible achievement in human history began the same way, with uncertainty, with fear, with someone standing at the edge of what they knew and deciding to take one more step. Not because they were sure they'd make it, but because they were sure they had to try. So many people will ask, what if you fail? But far too few ask, what if you fly? What if the thing you dream of, the thing that tugs at your chest when you lie awake at night, is not just a fantasy, but a calling? Not just a hope, but a map. You've got a heartbeat. You've got breath in your lungs. You've got pain behind you, and power ahead of you. So who told you that you don't get to rise? Who whispered in your ear that greatness has a gate and you don't hold the key? Who made you believe that your voice should be an echo instead of a thunderclap? Do you think the people who changed the world weren't scared? Do you think they didn't stumble? They did, often. But they refused to stay down. Not because they were fearless, but because they knew the fight was worth it. Because they knew that every time they got up, they were rewriting the story of what someone like them could do. So, what are you waiting for? A sign? A guarantee? There are none. There never have been. And that's what makes it beautiful. That's what makes it real. The question isn't whether you're ready. It's whether you're willing. Willing to fail. Willing to grow. Willing to be laughed at before you're celebrated. Willing to lose before you win. Because the world doesn't need more caution. It doesn't need more perfection. It needs more courage. More heart. More you. So again, I ask, why not you? Why not the person who's been through storms and still stands? Why not the one who's doubted themselves and still dreams? Why not the one listening right now, searching for a sign, aching for a spark? Let this be it. Because the people who go the farthest are never the ones who waited to be invited. They're the ones who walked in, stood tall, and declared, this world is mine to shape. Not someday. Not maybe. Now. Why not you? We grow up believing that greatness belongs to someone else. Someone out there. Someone with a shining resume, a flawless background, or a last name that opens doors. The world teaches us, quietly and constantly, that the extraordinary is reserved for the top of the class, the prodigies, the people who already have the spotlight. So we shrink ourselves. We play small. We tell ourselves, maybe not me. Not yet. Not ever. But that's a lie dressed as humility. The truth is, there is no list of chosen ones. There is no universal registry of people destined to do great things. Greatness doesn't check credentials before it shows up where it's invited. And it shows up most in the people who dare to ask, why not me? The difference between someone who changed the world and someone who didn't isn't some secret ingredient. It's not a higher IQ, a stronger body, or some cosmic luck. It's the willingness to believe that you have a right to try. A right to speak up. A right to show up, even when it's messy, even when it's hard, even when no one else believes in you yet. You don't need to be born into a legacy to build one. You don't need to have all the answers to start asking better questions. What you need is a decision, a moment where you stop counting yourself out and start stepping in. The extraordinary has never belonged to the untouchable few. It belongs to the ones who showed up. The ones who risked being ordinary in order to do something meaningful. It belongs to the ones who refuse to let fear sit in the driver's seat. So stop wondering if you're good enough, smart enough, talented enough. Stop waiting for a committee to approve your destiny. There is no gatekeeper. There never was. Why not you? Not later. Not next time. Not when you're ready. Now. Because the only thing separating you from the people you admire is the belief that you're allowed to become one of them. And you are. Too many people spend their lives waiting. Waiting to be picked, to be noticed, to be told they're enough. As if someone, somewhere, holds the key to their potential, and only when they hand it over can life truly begin. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people never say out loud: no one is coming to choose you. And the beautiful truth buried underneath that? You don't need them to. You choose yourself. You choose yourself every time you dare to believe that your voice matters, that your dreams are valid, that your life isn't meant to be a supporting role in someone else's story. You choose yourself when you stop asking for permission and start moving with purpose. The moment you look in the mirror and say, "I am enough to begin," the game changes. You no longer wait to be invited, you walk in and claim your place. Think about the people who've done something extraordinary. Not the ones born into power or fame, but the ones who came from nowhere and became something. Do you think they were chosen? Or do you think they got tired of waiting? Tired of sitting in the back row of their own lives? They weren't handed a moment, they created it. They didn't need a spotlight, they lit their own fire. You have that same spark. And maybe you've buried it under doubt or fear or all the things life has thrown at you. But it's still there, quietly waiting for you to remember what you're capable of. This isn't about arrogance or pretending you have all the answers. It's about ownership. It's about standing up and saying, "I don't have everything, but I have enough to start. I may not be perfect, but I'm powerful. I may be scared, but I'm showing up anyway." So don't hand your future to someone else. Don't let your worth be determined by applause or approval. The world will not give you a crown, you have to forge your own. And once you do, you'll realize you were never waiting for someone to choose you. You were waiting to choose yourself. And now that you have, there's only one thing left to ask: why not you? Fear doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how talented, passionate, or driven you may be. It shows up for everyone. In the quiet moments before you try, in the loud ones after you fail, and especially in the ones right before something great is about to happen. That uneasy feeling in your chest, that voice whispering, "What if you're not enough?" That's not a sign to stop. That's the signal you're getting close to something that matters. We often look at those who inspire us and imagine they walked a path paved with certainty. But behind every success story is a private war with fear. With self-doubt. With the temptation to quit before it even begins. No one escapes it. Not the artists. Not the athletes. Not the dreamers or the doers. Every single one of them stood face to face with the question, "What if I'm not ready?" And they stepped forward anyway. The myth is that courage is the absence of fear. But the truth, the raw, liberating truth, is that courage requires fear. Because if you're not scared, it doesn't take any bravery to try. Fear is not your enemy. It's proof that you're attempting something real. Something vulnerable. Something alive. And if you let it, that fear can become fuel. You will never outrun fear. You will never be so prepared, so perfect, so invincible that it stops showing up. But what you can do, what you must do, is decide that fear gets to walk beside you, not block your path. You don't need to banish doubt to take the first step. You just need to be more committed to your future than you are to your comfort. The people you admire? The ones who've built, created, transformed? They didn't wait for confidence to show up. They moved with trembling hands, with shaky voices, with hearts pounding in their chest, and they did it anyway. That's what separates them. Not fearlessness, but faith. Faith that what's on the other side of that fear is worth facing it. So if you're scared, good. It means you're human. It means you care. It means you're stretching beyond what you know and reaching towards something bigger than yourself. And in that moment, you don't need to be fearless, you just need to be willing. Why not you? Why not the person who's afraid but refuses to back down? Why not the one who feels the weight of fear and still takes the next step? Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is simply move forward. Afraid and unstoppable failure is not the end. It's never been the end. It's the beginning in disguise, the raw, uncomfortable, unfiltered beginning of something real. Somewhere along the way, we were taught to fear failure, to treat it like a verdict instead of a lesson. But look closely. Behind every success you admire is a trail of setbacks, rejections, and moments when giving up felt easier than going on. The only difference? They didn't stop. Falling isn't the problem. Staying down is. You will stumble. You will try something and it won't work. You'll put your heart into something and watch it unravel. That's not proof that you're not meant for it. That's proof that you are. Because failure is the universe's way of asking, how badly do you want this? Are you only here for the applause, or are you here for the climb? Every time you fail, you gain something. Insight. Toughness. Clarity. You learn what doesn't work so you can find what does. You strip away illusions and face the truth of what it takes. Failure doesn't weaken you, it sharpens you. It cuts through the fluff and shows you what you're made of. It builds resilience, and resilience builds greatness. The most powerful people you'll ever meet are not the ones who never failed. They're the ones who failed so hard, so publicly, so painfully, and came back stronger. Not because they enjoyed the fall, but because they knew they weren't defined by it. They knew that failure wasn't a tattoo, it was a bruise. It heals. And when it does, it leaves behind a story, a lesson, a fire. You will never grow by playing it safe. You will never evolve if your only goal is to avoid discomfort. If you're not failing at something, you're probably not trying anything that matters. So stop holding back in fear of getting it wrong. Because here's the truth, you will get it wrong. Many times. And that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up. Each failure is not a step back, it's a step through. Through resistance, through fear, through everything that tries to convince you that you can't. Until one day, you look back and realize that every misstep was actually a building block. So if you're standing in the rubble of a plan that didn't work, don't walk away from the dream. Stand up. Brush off the dust. Try again, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Why not you? Why not the person who keeps rising, who learns from the fall, who turns failure into fuel? After all, those who are unafraid to fail are the ones who eventually teach the world what success truly means, that dream you carry, the one that keeps tugging at you in quiet moments, the one that visits you in stillness, when no one's watching. It's not an accident. It's not some random fantasy you're meant to forget as you get older. It's not a distraction from real life. That dream is speaking to you, calling you, choosing you. And the question is, will you finally answer it? We're told to be realistic. To dream responsibly. To only want things that come with guarantees and clear steps. But dreams don't work like that. They're wild. They're messy. They don't come with a map, they are the map. And somewhere inside you, there's a voice that knows this. A voice that whispers, there's more for you. More than routines, more than settling, more than simply surviving. That voice is not naive. It's ancient. It's the part of you that remembers what you're here for. You weren't born just to fit in. You weren't meant to only follow paths already paved by others. That dream inside you? It's yours because it's meant to be carried by you. No one else. Not a copy. Not a safer version. You. That vision you can't shake, that thing that lights you up when you speak about it, even if you're afraid to admit it out loud, it matters. It's a spark of what's possible. It's potential in its purest form. And no, it won't be easy. Dreams will stretch you, challenge you, humble you. They'll test your patience, your resolve, your willingness to keep going when no one claps. But they'll also grow you. They'll introduce you to parts of yourself you never knew existed. They'll wake up the fire you didn't realize you'd buried. Don't ignore it just because it doesn't make sense to others. Don't walk away from it just because it hasn't happened yet. And please, don't downgrade it just to make it more comfortable. If a dream was meant to fit inside your comfort zone, it wouldn't have been called a dream. It would have been a task. You don't have to know how it will all happen. You just have to start. The path will unfold with each step. And when it's hard, when it feels impossible, remind yourself that this dream chose you for a reason. Not because it would be easy, but because you are exactly the kind of person who could make it real. So why not you? Why not the one brave enough to believe that maybe the dream isn't crazy, maybe it's a compass? Because the world doesn't need fewer dreamers. It needs more people willing to make their dreams their mission. It needs you. You don't need to wait until you're perfect to begin. You don't need to collect more degrees, more praise, more experience to be worthy of stepping forward. You already have what it takes. Right now. As you are. Not in some distant future version of yourself. But in this very moment, with all your flaws, your scars, your doubts, and your fire. We live in a world obsessed with more. Be more prepared. Be more polished. Be more like them. So we convince ourselves that we're always one step behind. One skill short. One achievement away from being ready. But that's a trap. That's how dreams die quietly, not because they weren't possible, but because we kept postponing them until we were enough. Here's the truth. You've already walked through things others would have crumbled under. You've survived moments you thought would break you. You've had to start over when everything fell apart. And you're still here. Still breathing. Still hoping. That alone makes you powerful. The tools you need to begin are not out there, they're in you. Your resilience, your ability to learn, your unique perspective, your hunger for something greater, that's your fuel. That's your foundation. It doesn't have to look perfect from the outside. It just has to be real. Stop waiting to feel confident. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from it. Every time you show up, even when you're unsure, you build the strength to keep going. You gain clarity. You get sharper, wiser, braver. You don't find your power by watching others live theirs. You find it by stepping into your own. And yes, there will be people who doubt you. Sometimes the loudest doubter will live in your own head. But your job isn't to silence every critic, it's to move in spite of them. You weren't given this life to be a spectator. You weren't meant to sit in the shadows of your potential. You were built to participate in your own greatness. So no more waiting. No more stalling. No more pretending you need someone else to tell you it's time. You are ready enough. You are strong enough. You are brave enough. Why not you? Why not the person who stops second-guessing and starts showing up fully? Why not the one who decides that today, not someday, is the right day to begin? You have everything you need. Now go use it. We waste so much of our lives waiting. Waiting for a green light from the universe, a sign in the sky, someone to validate our hopes, to confirm what we already feel deep down, that we're meant for more. We say we'll start when we're sure. When the time is right. When someone tells us it's okay to want something bigger. But what if the truth is this: you're the sign you've been waiting for? Every moment you feel that restless pull, that voice whispering that you were built for something greater, that's the signal. Not a coincidence. Not a glitch in the system. a calling. And still, you wait. As if one day, someone will appear with a certificate that says, "You're ready now." But no one's coming. No one is going to hand you your dream. No one is going to grant you permission to start living like your life matters. You are the one. You are the spark. You are the permission slip. There is no perfect moment. No golden hour where everything aligns and all your doubts disappear. Waiting for that is how people wake up 10 years later wondering where their fire went. The truth is, there is no moment more powerful than the one you have right now. This breath. This heartbeat. This decision. Because when you choose to begin, not because you have all the answers, but because you believe in the question, everything changes. People will tell you to be realistic. That now's not the time. That you should wait for stability, for certainty, for conditions that feel safer. But those same people once had dreams they buried under those same excuses. Don't let their fear become your future. Don't shrink just because someone else stopped growing. You don't need flashing lights. You don't need divine confirmation. You just need a moment of truth, and that moment is now. Because every great story, every meaningful journey, begins the same way, with a single decision to stop waiting and start moving. Why not you? Why not the one who stops looking outside for direction and starts trusting the compass already inside? Why not the person bold enough to say, "I won't wait to be chosen, I'll choose myself"? Because the moment you do, the world stops waiting too. And it starts responding. To you, the world doesn't need another copy. It doesn't need another voice trying to sound like everyone else. It needs you, the real you. The raw, imperfect, unpolished you. The one with a story no one else can tell, a voice no one else can echo, a way of seeing life that's never existed before and never will again. And yet, how often do we hide? How often do we filter, shrink, edit, dilute who we are just to fit a mold that was never meant for us? We've been conditioned to believe that fitting in is safer than standing out. That playing it safe is smarter than being seen. So we hide the parts of ourselves that feel different, our opinions, our emotions, our passions. All because we fear they'll be too much for someone else. But in doing that, we starve the world of our gift. And worse, we starve ourselves of our truth. You don't inspire people by being perfect. You inspire them by being real. By showing up honestly, by daring to be vulnerable in a world obsessed with appearances. Your story, your struggles, your resilience, that's what connects.